They are not to behave arbitrarily, entirely on their own and independently. How different is this from the whole concept that a woman has exclusive rights to her own body. Openness to life does not mean a license to abandon reason and judgment in favor of an unthinking dependence on divine providence on the other hand. John Paul II in 1990 told a group of NFP trainees, "Through the sense of responsibility for love and life, God the Creator invites the spouses not to be passive operators, but rather cooperators or almost interpreters of His plan. In fact, they are called out of respect for the objective moral order established by God to an obligatory discernment of the indication of God's will concerning their family. There are three persons involved in this discernment. First God, then the husband and wife together. Knowledge of fertility enables the couple to make a truly personalist decision on the number and spacing of their children. Couples report an incredible sense of union with God as Creator during the most fertile time of the cycle. This all leads them to a profound respect for the gifts of life. But this attitude must be fostered by prayer, communion with God, and communion with each other. Now, the freedom from adverse consequences, that's already been dealt with very well by Dr. Irving, so I will not go into that. My last section is freedom through self-mastery. Section 21 of the encyclical talks about self-mastery or self-possession in John Paul II's more personalist term. And I quote, "Such discipline demands constant and strong effort, but husbands and wives develop themselves fully by its healthy practice, and they become ennobled with spiritual goods. Far from being an obstacle to love, this discipline is an aid. It enables them to integrate physical desire into a complete and mutual self-giving. As Paul VI said, the whole being participates in this exchange of love at the deepest level of its own personal mystery with all its dimensions, emotional, sensual, sexual, and spiritual." And John Paul II writes, "Eros and ethos do not differ from each other, are not opposed to each other, but are called to meet in the human heart, and in this meeting to bear fruit." And this is indeed the experience of NFP couples. The tenderness that comes from mutual respect, especially for the woman, increases desire for her husband. Now contrast this with the religion of sex, and those are Margaret Sanger's words, proclaimed by her and other birth control advocates. She talks about fiendish morality and futile efforts at prohibition, suppression, restraint, and extirpation of the great primordial natural force of sex. Its revenge, she says, has been great, in her quotes, insanity, hysteria, neuroses, morbid fears, and compulsions. And again, out of the unchallenged policies of continence, abstinence, chastity, and purity, we have reaped the harvest of prostitution, venereal scourges, and innumerable other evils. She promised, the moment civilization is wise enough to remove the constraints and prohibitions which now hinder the release of inner energies, most of the larger evils of society will perish of inanition and malnutrition. Through sex, mankind may attain a great spiritual illumination which will transform the world, which will light up the only path to an earthly paradise. We are only too aware of the havoc wrought, especially among the young, of this myth of salvation through sex. It has been so widely promoted in our culture that even good Catholic couples have been unduly influenced by this philosophy. The second epistle of St. Peter gives sound advice to all couples. His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness. For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, and virtue with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with steadfastness, and steadfastness with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with love. As the epistle says, we have surely been given everything we need to live lives of holiness in marriage. Humanae Vitae, the stone rejected by the builders, has and can become the cornerstone of a new civilization of love. Thank you.